good morning still. I know good afternoon we are. I mean, you know what? I think I'm between you and lunch, right? I'm the last speaker? No? No. Okay, good. Well, I'm relieved because I was thinking that otherwise I will have to do some entertaining here. And unfortunately, I cannot do it in your language. Now, I can kind of have a feeling that there's a lot of entrepreneurs here, right? Or at least those who want to become entrepreneurs. How many of you want to become entrepreneur? Come on. You've been listening all these fantastic speeches all morning, and now only a handful wants to become an entrepreneur. How come? It's difficult, right? You don't exactly know what is the idea, where you can find some help. And this is exactly what we heard about in these previous speeches, that it is actually sometimes really tough. Well, I have kind of a good news for you, because I'm representing EIT Food, which is part of the EIT, which is a European Institute for Innovation and Technology. And our kind of a main task is to basically help Europe to become more innovative. Try to help entrepreneurs, scientists, and also consumers to basically move together this innovation field in Europe. And it is not by any really curious idea why EU started putting money in this one a little bit over 10 years ago. It is, you all know about MIT, and of course one of the things that Europe was really lagging behind was that even though we have really capable people who are in the science and from the academia, from universities, but somehow these things never made it to innovation. Okay, so they really made it to the market. So we had a lot of things that were in the drawers, in the cupboards, that were great, that could become something really fantastic. But actually, they never made it there. And so at that time, when EIT was funded, was really this kind of idea that, okay, we should try to help some of these really major scientific areas to become innovations. And so we have been trying to do it since, let's say, 10 years. So I'm going to move ahead. And in this particular field, the mission of EIT, I mean, it is kind of a pretty straightforward and simple. Basically making innovation happen across Europe. I mean, at least it sounds very simple, right? We actually are bringing really together Europe's leading business, higher education and research organization to create pan-European networks. The EIT innovation communities where groundbreaking ideas can grow and become products and services and jobs. And currently we have 8 innovation communities. So as you can see from there, one of the really eldest one was EIT Climate Kick. It does still exist. EIT Digital, EIT Food, EIT Health, Energy, EIT Manufacturing, EIT Raw Materials, EIT Urban Mobility. So I can think of already that those of you who have been thinking that, okay, well, where can I find someone who could support my ideas in this very vast area? Well, you should at least look at EIT because maybe you will find some answers there. We basically are operating throughout Europe, and we have kind of different types of programs, and all these, like I'm saying, EIT Digital, EIT Food, EIT Raw Materials, they are called Knowledge and Innovation Centers, so we call them KICs. And these KICs basically operate a little bit all in different ways, meaning that based a little bit on the sector where they function, based on the areas also of geographical areas, they try to always support local let's say, entrepreneurship, local scientists, and bring local consumers together. Okay, let's go to the next one. And as a result, I mean, these are, of course, figures, but, you know, we have to also provide some figures because they kind of like tell you a little bit that what has been done. We also like sometimes have a tendency to say that, okay, well, this is, of course, about public funding, partly, but not only. So, and we are never actually funding one single company's one single project. they have to always be joint projects. So you have to be able to put your idea together with the science or academia, with the companies, and then putting also, especially when we talk about EIT Food, consumers in the center. But what we try to do is this kind of like overall, this innovation transformation. And for that one, not one single person can no longer do these things on their own. We really need the whole ecosystem to work on this one. So this is to give you a little bit the base. So we supported more than 2,000 startups. These startups created thousands of jobs, attracted around 1.5 billion euros of external investment, created more than 6,000 jobs, educated more than 2,300 master and PhD graduates. This is probably very good news for some of you. Created more than 900 new products and services that have reached the market and that are in the service for the European citizens. So these are pretty enormous figures if we really think about them more clearly. Then, someone can say that Europe is fragmented by nature. I won't call them fragmented. I actually like the diversity that we have. I think Europe is fantastic because we have the diversity. We are all different, we speak different languages, we have different cultures, but then at the same time we are all Europeans. So there is something really common, yet different. And it is built on this similarity and differences that we can actually go somewhere. So we actually want to be those who are actually connecting the dots. And in 2014, EIT launched what is called EIT Regional Innovation Scheme. I mean, these names of the programs, it will make it dizzy in your head, but this is what we call RIS, Europe RIS. And actually Serbia is actually one of those RIS countries, meaning that so far, but what I'm hearing today is that I think it is not going to last very long. The RIS program is actually for those countries who normally had a moderate, a little bit lower R&D and innovation investment, like based on the European scale. So through this RIS program, we have a separate budget, separate programs that we try to help entrepreneurs and actually, again, science and consumers also to come together in these countries to boost this innovation activities and R&D activities. It's actually really interesting program. And once again, Serbia is one of those countries which is eligible. So not all the countries are eligible. So this is one of those things that are very specific also for this part of the Europe. Then, I have to push this one again. Well, we kind of know also that one, let's say, size doesn't fit all. And we try to tailor-make solutions for concrete needs. Well, it actually means that its KIC, as I said, designs activities that are based on the target countries, the sector-specific needs, and the KIC strategic objectives. And basically, how can I say? I mean, we have been only doing it for a couple of years, and already the results are pretty impressive. Let's go a little bit further. So, to give you a little bit idea on who are those KICs that are functioning in these RIS countries, there is climate KIC, digital, food, health, energy, and raw materials. And basically, I really don't like this moderate and modest innovation performers. I would like to rather think about it as an opportunity, you know, the future opportunities that are lying in these countries. And this is what we try to tackle. So it is not some kind of like, okay, well, you belong to the RIS or those countries who are part of RIS. No, it's actually a huge opportunity. And at the same time, we have been hearing so good results that basically the budget that used to be, let's say 2018, 25, we are actually going to go this year already to 30 million euros. And it's really a separate budget that is there. So I'm going to tell you how you can participate, probably if you have an idea, if you are entrepreneurs, and if you would like to work hard, because it is not easy money, and also at the same time to engage your country to a much broader innovation path. Okay, let's go faster. Okay, so just to give you a couple of last figures. So we have had, like, within RIS EIT partners, 238% of increase. So in 2014, we had 80, and now 271 basically partners that are participating. And basically, we went from 5 countries to 16 countries in these RIS programs. Okay, then we will go to EIT Food. And so, like I said, I am representing the EIT Food. And within EIT Food, of course, the challenges, the societal challenges that are also in urban mobility, are also in raw materials, are also in digital, are also in all these different kicks. And when we talk about food, it is not only about nutrition, because food is also about culture. It's about social areas of a behaving. But okay, it is also about technology. So we kind of don't often think about that food industries, food sector is actually very much related to technology as well. But there's areas where actually you can find several great areas, not only to promote your own technology, but also to change the world. I know that many of you are concerned about food waste, because 1/3 of the food is actually wasted. 10 billion people will have to be fed in 2050. 2 billion of people are obese, and then yet, which is really also terrible, 800 million people don't have enough food to eat. And these are really concrete challenges, you know, that we need to solve. It is not something that, okay, are only in the statistics. They are real problems. Then, of course, we go to greenhouse gases and water withdrawal, transparency of the food system, and again, fragmented supply chain. Okay. So what does it take to transform this food system? And I have to say that within EIT Food, we are pretty much in the mission of saying that, okay, well, what are the actors that we have to put around the table so that we can solve these things? Because we are all consumers, right? We all eat every day. Those of you who have family, who have children, you are thinking about every day, well, have you eaten? What have you eaten, right? So it is part of everyday life. Yet at the same time, it seems to be that this transformation and the change is extremely difficult. One of the reasons why it is so difficult is human behavior. And we know all that, you know, even though we know better, we sometimes make choices that have no sense, okay? So one of the things where EIT Food is especially, let's say, different from other kicks is that we put consumers right in the middle of the whole, let's say, food system. It doesn't mean that the consumers come at the end, that, okay, well, let's inform consumers at the end of the day what is good for you, and then we kindly ask you to do what is good for you. No, consumers should be really active players in the center of this food system. And that is the only way how this whole, let's say, system is going to change. Then one more, I have to press one more button here. So currently, within EIT Food, we have about 56 partners, that most of them are also like really big companies. It's really important, I will tell you a little bit in a while why. It is also important that we have kind of these companies as well within this ecosystem, that we can also say that they are maybe part of the problem. But if they are part of the problem, they are also part of the solution. And so this is why we need everyone. Once again, there is no pointing fingers and saying, you know, you are doing a lot of damage, you shouldn't be there. No, they should be there. And I'm going to tell you why. Let's go these things further. I'm going to go a little bit faster here. So, as I told you already, that the challenges and strategic objectives that EIT Food is trying to tackle, One of them is to address low consumer trust in the food sector, create consumer-valued food for healthier nutrition, build a consumer-centric connected food system, enhance sustainability through resource stewardship, and then educate to engage, innovate, and advance, attract new talent to the food sector. But I know you are particularly interested in this last one, which is catalyze food sector entrepreneurship and innovation. And in this particular area, we actually try to support agri-food entrepreneurs at every step of the way. We have a lot of different programs for entrepreneurs, for students as well, starting from a very, let's say, early stage ideas. So students and early entrepreneurs, there is innovation prizes, Ehm Starter, which is kind of a cross-kick activity. And then we also have what is called EIT Seedbed Incubator. And for example, in Seedbed Incubator, you even don't have to have a company yet. It can really be very early stage, let's say, idea that you want to develop. Then we also have test farms where we are trying to put together, let's say, very innovative startups, very early stage, together with the, let's say, agri-food area where they can test their innovation, and then at the same time investors. So it is kind of a triangle, what we try to put forward. Then we have food sparks that are a little bit more like business ideas and early stage startups, but a little bit further. And then we have what is called Food Accelerator Network. And this is already for a little bit further stage innovations. And then at the end of the day, we have Rising Food Stars. And Rising Food Stars is actually a very interesting network. And I'm trying to find to you this one in right now. Let's go a little bit further because it is somewhere here. Yeah. I'm coming back to this. You are not going to miss anything. But the Rising Food Stars is actually one partner of EIT Food. It means that all these Rising Food Stars is in a way a network in a network. So it means that it opens you the door for all these big partners that we have within EIT Food, meaning that if you need to and if you want to develop your product a little bit further, if you're missing a little bit those areas where we were talking about, let's say, about meeting angels, meeting investors, but also meeting those companies who would like to take you further with your innovation. There, applying for Rising Food Stars, it only means that your company has to be a little bit forward and had made already quite a lot of progress before you are entering Rising Food Stars. It's not a closed club. It's not an end of the year, end of the life club. It means that when you enter, you have to be active. As long as you are active, then you will be able to actually stay in it for a little bit longer time. So this is also a really interesting area for you. Let's see, let's go a little bit further. Okay, then a few examples of a local, let's say, startups that we are particularly proud of that are also part of Rising Food Stars. We have what is called Napiferin Biotech. It's a Polish company, and their idea basically was to take seed ripe when it is, when you extract the oil, then you have actually a residue of those seeds. And their idea was actually take the residue of those seeds and basically, how to say, like to grind it. And then you have a protein that is very high level protein. And I had actually an opportunity to taste their protein. And it was actually really interesting because it is only a plant-based protein. And you could kind of have a feeling of, okay, what is this all about? And that's what I, in a way, liked about their protein idea, is that you could detect the source of this protein. It's much more interesting than trying to do something really which is anonymous and you don't know where these things are coming from. Okay, then another example is Metamorphosis. They are turning organic waste streams into valuable next-generation aquaculture feed ingredients, so insects, I don't know if you are very fun about those, but at least that is obviously coming a lot on the market. And you can see when you look a little bit like what are those project partners. So there's Entomix, there's Matis, which is a research center from Iceland, and then there is CSIS. So you can see that what does it mean in practice, this kind of a co-creation within EIT Food. Then one more example is startups joining innovation projects. So from waste to farm, testing innovative ingredients in poultry feed, and the impact on an improvement of bird welfare and quality of food products. So as you can see, they can be really very wide sources of different kind of companies and ideas. And it basically is only for you to try to invent the next one. So I wanted to also show you a few things about where I would like you to think about joining in. So let's go a little bit further. Okay. So about these innovation prizes, all these things are open for you today. So you just have to go to eitfood.eu website, and you can look at all these kind of programs that are available for you, where you can apply whenever the date is. For example, for the innovation prizes, well, it was 3rd of February in 2020, but they are also open for Serbia and Bulgaria. Then the next one that I would like to promote to you, let's see, the date is actually coming only here, is what is called EIT Starter. And this is a pre-accelerator cross-sectoral program. And it is really jointly organized by EIT Food, Health and Raw Materials. And again, it is supporting idea holders. So once again, eitfood.eu, and you will find the things that will be interesting for you, how to apply and when to apply. And then one more let's say, proof for you that that there has been also people who are very, very successfour. There is this, let's say, fantastic innovation of 4 ladies who actually were the winners of an EIT Food Starter, but also seedbed incubator in for 2020. And so again, it is open for all of you. Please look at those things. You know, there's a lot of opportunities. You just have to go for it. And don't be afraid that they are kind of like you have to speak English, okay? You have to apply in English, but it is extremely interesting journey for all of you. So without any further examples, because I have plenty, so I can tell you I could go on for quite some time. Maybe a last one, not necessarily for entrepreneurs as per se, but we try within EIT Food as well to, let's say, encourage governments in these risk countries to participate to these discussions with the entrepreneurs, with the businesses, with the academia throughout these risk countries. So we organize once a year what is called Government Executive Academy, and there's an open call for those, let's say, government representatives who would like to participate and who would like to join in 4 days training and discussion in these areas that are sometimes really difficult to find ways to do together. But once again, it is one of those backbones of EIT Food that we really try to change Europe and the world. So very, very quickly, and I thank you for attention. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. I'll be around still for a little while, and I wish you a lovely day. Thank you.